guys, how's it going? It's Al. Week 5 on DraftKings kicks off in just 2 days. So I'm going to spend the next 45 to 60 minutes, I don't know how long it is until they're out of questions, answering questions from my Twitch chat. We sit here every single Friday and they come up with whatever questions they can come up with, whether it's game strategy, game theory, contest entry, DraftKings, FanDuel, cash games, tournaments, doesn't matter, whatever they have on their mind. We just go over it and I give you my honest opinions. I like this video because of the long form nature of it. It's not like a tweet where I can just get 240 characters to answer a question, or one of my other videos where it's like, here's 5 things that you got to look at for this week. This is more of a long form video. So you got to sit down, get comfortable, get your popcorn, get yourself a nice soda, pop it up on your TVs and relax so that we can talk about everything that you need to know for DraftKings in week 5. Let's go.
He's a legend.
As always, I'm going to start it off reminding you about the Week 5 Smiz Gang Listener League, the best tournament that is in existence on DraftKings. It is not a lobby game, so the only way to get into this game is to use our link. Smizzle.tv/links has that link, as well as literally everything else that I do. The Discord link, the charity link, my Instagram, my Twitter, everything I do, Best Buys, the article that I read on ESPN is through that link tree, smizzle.tv/links. The Listener League is gonna fill probably midday on Saturday, so make sure that you get in there like immediately, because it's tracking ahead of where it tracked last year. We had 4,500 people in it. We're gonna have like 5,000 by tonight, 500 to fill, and Saturday is my biggest day in terms of views and clicks and everything else. So like, it's gonna fill tomorrow, so do not wait until Sunday morning to get in this. $10 to enter, 3 max, 55,000 in the prize pool, and absolutely no rake. Want to be rake conscious? I can't do better than 0. So like, it's a 0 rake tournament. Can't do better than that. Make sure that you get in it, and let's bring in the chat and get some questions from them. The link is under the sauce. 100%. The link is always under the sauce. Somebody asked, do I like or would I play the Jets? Look, sure. My answer is always has been, look, I don't care who you play. I really don't. When it comes to tournaments, play whatever stack you want. Just stack. Just do that. Make sure that you're playing the game in the way that puts you on the right side of the math to be able to win the tournament. So if you wanted to play Zach Wilson, he is extremely cheap. I think that he has some good pieces that you could play along with him at wide receiver. I think that a lot of people are going to jump onto Breece Hall this week, which leaves you with like Garrett Wilson, who is the league leader in terms of end zone targets, red zone targets at the position, and should have scored more than 2 touchdowns. So like, he has a higher expected touchdown rate than what he has scored. You can stack him with Corey Davis, who has been solid enough with 3 games over 13.7 points. You could stack him with Elijah Moore. I always want to say Etwan Moore because, you know, basketball. If you think that he is going to have that bounce back game coming in at a kind of a cheap price, his price has not come down, right? Like, he's 5,000, he was 4,800, he's 5,000, he's 5,000. He has not had the game that everybody kind of thought that he would have based on where he was drafted. I would think that his salary should be lower than this, but that's going to hold his percentage down. So the combined percentage of like, oh yeah, or Gronklin as well at 3,700, who's been very good at tight end. No matter what combination you're playing, it's going to be a low combined percentage, most of them under 10%. I think Wilson is, Garrett Wilson in particular is projecting at like 7% so far this week. And you can easily bring it back with Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle or whatever you want to bring it back with on the other side, and then have your secondary be an expensive secondary. It's fine to do all of those things. You can do basically anything that you want as long as you play it the right way. So I don't care who you play. I care that you play it the right way. Coach Cornbread, thank you for the $5 donated to No Kid Hungry. You won $5 on the game last night, and I want nothing to do with that game. I'm washing my hands of it. Exactly. What a terrible game. I can't believe I was tilting on Twitter during that game in the second half. And like, somebody posted in reply to me, like, this game's going to overtime. I said, I have never in my life seen a more toxic reply than that reply. How dare you come into my mentions with that much toxicity and tell me that we're going to have to watch more than 60 minutes of gameplay from this game? And sure enough, it went to overtime. That was brutal. Is ALLGEIER a sneaky bring back in Tampa Bay, or just stick with London? I don't think the running backs on the Falcons would be my preferred bring back in that game. Like, let's take a look. because we had news, and so we have to talk about it. So at the flex, Kyle Pitts is out. So I'm picturing a lot of fantasy football managers as movie clips at this point. So basically, if you have Kyle Pitts in your season-long league, you're like Shawshank Redemption at the end, like when he crawls like all the way through the river of and he's in the rain at the end. Oh, like that's all the Kyle Pitts managers right now. Either that or it's the end of Return of the Jedi after the thing blows up and all the people on all the different planets are having that big celebration. That's all the Kyle Pitts fantasy managers right now. They're all celebrating because they don't have to play Kyle Pitts and worry that he's going to get them like three fantasy points. Like, you could just pick somebody up off waivers and just be fine. The downside is, as Chad is now saying, this was going to be Pitts' week. So this was the make or break week for Pitts, and like he checked it back. Like, we don't have to play him, because if he didn't have a big week this week, he was going to get redacted. He was facing redaction in week 5 from this stream, where I would not be able to chat says, whoa, spoiler on Return of the Jedi. All right. So I don't think that the running backs are the good bringbacks here, right? You'd have to tell yourself a story that with Cordero Patterson on IR and out this week, that Tyler Algier is going to be getting a ton of the football. And he may.
He's a legend.
Old Elvis, thank you for the 20 months. He may, right? But that would mean that they're keeping this game close, that they're running the hell out of the football, that they're not in game scripts that are good for passing, that they're not playing down a touchdown. And look, it might happen, but the Buccaneers defense, even in spite of that one game against Kansas City, right? In spite of that one game against Kansas City, they have been good against the run. 71 yards allowed against Dallas. That's a good running football team. New Orleans, good running football team, ran it for exactly 100 yards. 67 yards against Green Bay with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. Then they got throttled by Kansas City. They just couldn't cover anything. They had problems right from the go. Kansas City playing from way ahead in this game and put more emphasis on the run in the second half once that defense was tired. That does not project to be the game script for this game. Now, if you think Atlanta's going to win this game on the field, if you think that they're going to play from ahead, then fine. For me, I would rather focus on bringbacks that have to do with pass catching. Number one being Drake London, the most obvious of bringbacks in this spot. I believe that most Tom Brady stacks, if they are utilizing a bringback, he will be the most common one. So you're not going to differentiate yourself there, right? He is the obvious guy getting over 30% of the market share targets, with Kyle Pitts locked in so far at 25%. So this 25% of targets has been vacated for this weekend. Now, who soaks it up, we don't know. Some is going to go to Olamide Zaccheaus. Some is going to go to Kaderil Hodge. I don't think that the tight ends are going to be able to soak up a lot of that market share targets, right? Like, is Parker Hesse going to get like a lot of run? And like, somebody's going to have to run some routes, you know? Is Felipe Franks going to be the guy? Like, it's so much of a dart throw. Thankfully, they're 2,500 dart throws, right? Anthony Ferkser, is he going to be the guy? Like, we'll have to figure out who is the starting tight end, and I don't know if we're going to get that information. So it's a full-on dart throw if you're trying to bring it back with anybody other than Drake London or Zaccheaus, to me. I think London is the obvious one. Zaccheaus should see an increase in targets. Are we still talking about Atlanta? Yes, we are still talking about Atlanta because we have to talk about things. That's the whole point of this show. Talk about things. Why is James Robinson so low owned? I don't know. I cannot figure that out at all. It's the biggest head scratcher of the week for me. I don't get it. I really don't get it. He's low everywhere. So I'm not going to bring up the projections on Fantasy Labs or Establish the Run because they are paywalled, and you know, I don't want to, I can't like give out paywalled information just for the sake of it. You can go subscribe through the links, smizzle.tv/ETR, smizzle.tv/labs with an uppercase L if you wanted to go subscribe to either one of those. But I can tell you that at running back, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Like, it's how? 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. They have like 28 running backs. Fantasy Labs currently has 28 running backs at a much higher percentage than James Robinson. If I click over to ETR, like 20, that's egregious. That's just, it's flat wrong. There's no way that projection percentage is correct. But going over to ETR, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. They have 14 running backs that are going to get played at a higher percentage than James Robinson against Houston. Excuse me, what? It's not going to happen. I guarantee you that there will not be. I would love to bet on that as an over-under. Give me 14 and a half. Give me 14 and a half as an over-under on running backs that have a higher percentage in the Millionaire Maker than James Robinson. And I'll take that he will be in the top 14. There will not be 14 running backs that are played more than him this week. If there are, okay. He's not even priced at a weird spot. He's not even priced at a weird spot. Because like sometimes that's the thing. You get players that are priced in a place where they just don't fit. You think he's in consideration for cash. He is most certainly in consideration for cash. 8K on FanDuel is tough. I agree. On FanDuel, it's different pricing. So on FanDuel, I understand. But on DraftKings, there's no way that a $6,300 at home favored by a touchdown running back is going to get the amount of usage in tournaments that he gets. That they're projecting him for. Not possible. What is the cash game core? So cash game core. I'll start at tight end. I think that there's a lot of tight ends that are in play this week. One, we don't have Kyle Pitts. We know that. We don't have Travis Kelce. We don't have Mark Andrews on the main slate. So the three of them gone. Those are the three highest ceiling tight ends, right? Regardless of what you think about Pitts, those are the three highest ceiling tight ends on a projection standpoint. Every single week, they're all gone. So now you're looking at like Zach Ertz for 4,800, Dallas Goedert at 4,700, Freiermuth in a game where they could get their doors blown off. NJOKU has been very good at 3,800. I think that he is in the consideration for cash at 3,800. Dalton Schultz in the consideration for cash at 3,400. But all of those guys have peaks and valleys, way more so than Tyler Higbee. I think that Tyler Higbee, so long as Van Jefferson is not playing, is just going to keep getting peppered with like 7+ targets, 7-8 targets a game. And as bad as that offensive line has been, short targets are where it's at. So Tyler Higbee, Cooper Kupp going to continue to get a ton of targets. I think that he is or should be the most clicked tight end this week, with maybe NJOKU being right behind him. Dallas Jayhawk, thank you for the $50 donated to No Kid Hungry. Mother-in-law turned 80 this week, asked what she wanted. She said to donate to charity. Well, I appreciate that, man. Tell her happy birthday. At wide receiver, we'll skip wide receiver. At running back, this is where it gets tough, because there's a lot of guys in this range this week that I think are very playable, right? We just talked about James Robinson, 6,300 against Houston. You're streaming running backs against Houston all year, right? We're doing that. I think that Leonard Fournette is in play at 6,900. I'm not buying that Rachaad White is going to take over 50% of the work. I think that Fournette bounces back to a 75% plus market share of the running back snaps and touches for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here in week 5, especially in a game where they project to play from ahead. Down from him, where did he go? Alvin Kamara says he is going to play. Same sort of a situation against Seattle, where should see a bunch of targets, should get the inside the 5 carries, 12 to 15 attempts on the ground, 5+ targets expected there. Perfect running back, should be 7,500 in games where weeks where he is healthy for multiple weeks. If he plays, I think that he is a good play. I did not include him on my rankings video on the Fantasy Football channel because it was unclear earlier in the week if he was going to play. So he's fine, but I think that everybody's going to go here. I think this is going to be the cash core play at 5,500 for Ramondre Stevenson, because of how good a floor he has and how good a matchup he has. So he plugs into that spot. At wide receiver, it's one of 3. So Chris Godwin at 5,900, great play. And this is just a matter of taste at this point, whether you like Godwin. I think OLAVE is in play because of the high floor of targets and the massive upside because of how he is being deployed right now. And Tyler Lockett at 5,600 is just entirely too cheap for what he brings to the table in terms of a high floor of targets leading to the possibility of 100 yards, 107 here, 91 here, 76 ain't all that far away. Should get like 8 targets against New Orleans and not catch the tough coverage of Marshawn Lattimore. He's going to run from the slot. Lattimore does not move into the slot. He is the path of least resistance for the Seahawks. So one of those 3, based on what we know right now, I'm going to go with Godwin, higher touchdown expectancy, and then probably Olave, and then Lockett in that order. So those are the 3 players that I think for cash. For quarterbacks, it's 3 guys right now. It's either Josh Allen, right? If you're afraid of the blowout and you don't want to go with him, it's Jalen Hurts. Similarly high team total, but way closer spread in a weather-controlled environment against a defense that has really, really struggled. If Philadelphia's offense does a lot of things, it's likely going to mean that Jalen Hurts has a 25-plus point fantasy day. But then the cheaper option right now is Tom Brady at 6,000 against Atlanta, who's been really bad defensively, like really, really bad defensively in all phases. Like, against the run, against the pass, allowing teams to get into the red zone. So, like, the difference between Brady and those other 2 is he provides absolutely zilch with his legs, right? You're getting nothing from him on the ground, so he's got to throw for touchdown passes. Or if it's a game where they run for 3, Tom Brady is going to disappoint. But if he throws for 3, he'll be just fine. So it's all got to come from the air. If I have the money, I'd probably rather get up to Jalen Hurts. The way that things look right now is that there's not all that much value. Like, typically we'll get like a sub 3K wide receiver that we can just hang our hats on and go with them. But the wide receivers that are most in play are 5K and up, which is not going to allow you to get to somebody like Hurts or Allen. So if you can afford them, go for that. But that's the extended cash game. Buffalo will still throw 45 times. Their running backs are all 5'7". They don't have big running backs. Rondale in cash, Rondale's fine. What people don't realize is that Rondale stepped right back into a fantastic market share of snaps. Like, he stepped back into like a really high volume role last week. So, like, I've been asked a couple of times this week already, Dortch or Rondale? I'm like, Rondale played, they had 76 offensive snaps last week, and Rondale played 65 of them. Now, he didn't do a lot. He had 5 targets. He had 3 receptions, but his ADOT was 10.5, average depth of target, Mike Clay's stat. He was targeted over 10 yards down the field. So if you followed Rondale last year and you liked Rondale last year, you know that he had like the worst ADOT. He was like, they were targeting, he had multiple games with negative air yards. That's not good. 1.2 chat says, like, is bad. His ADOT was horrible last year. He had negative air yards multiple times. They were throwing the ball behind the freaking line of scrimmage. So 10.5, that's much better, right? KHALIL, SHAKIR, dart throw 3,200 on DraftKings. I prefer McKenzie. I think McKenzie's great in Josh Allen stacks. Moore or Zay Jones? I prefer Zay Jones to Moore, but both are fine. In cash game lineups, do you prefer 3 running backs or the best plays from a volume floor and standpoint? On FanDuel, I prefer 3 running backs. On DraftKings, I think that there are ways that you can target targets, right? So, like, would you rather pay up at running back this season, or would you rather have Cooper Kupp as your flex? What do you think is better week in, week out? Do you think Cooper Kupp at 9,000 plus, or do you think paying up at running back this year and last year? So yeah, there's ways. Target targets. Get as many as you can get. Ain't nobody getting more than Cooper Kupp. It's tough out here in these streets for Team Jam 'em in. You still jamming them in. You're just jamming Kupp in. Kupp is on Team Jam 'em in. Cooper Kupp is essentially Christian McCaffrey from 2019 right now. Amon-Ra St. Brown back at practice today. That was very, very, very encouraging. I absolutely love to see that. That's fantastic. So the Sun God back at practice. I did want to remind you, if you like this banter that you see back and forth between me and the chat, make sure that you join the Discord community at smizzle.tv/Discord. If you are a channel member here on YouTube, if you don't know how to get a channel membership, if you're watching on PC, there is a join button. It's like right down over there. It says subscribe, and then it says join. If you're watching this on your iPhone, YouTube and iPhone, Google and iPhone, Apple, like, they have some issues, I guess, because like if it's a in-app purchase and they'd have to give 30% to Apple. I made a link for you. It's very simple. Smizzle.tv/join will take you to the page where you can sign up to become a channel member. It's $5 a month, and you get access to all the VIP rooms on our Discord at smizzle.tv/Discord. The link for that is also in smizzle.tv/link. So when you join the Listener League, also join the Discord, become a channel member, and you will have our entire community of people, over 6,000, approaching 7,000 people in our Discord at this point, in the locked VIP channels that you can discuss daily fantasy with whenever you want. There is somebody to talk about cash games, tournaments, every sport, NBA, MLB, NFL, everything. And there's food picks and pet picks. Hi, streamer. I have no idea where the Listener League is. That's impossible. You're old enough to remember David Johnson and Lev Bell jam him in 10 weeks in a row. That was the best year. That was actually the year I won the Millionaire Maker. I had 10 straight winning weeks that year. I did not lose from weeks 1 through 10. Week 11, I finally had a losing week. I made so much money that year because it was very simple. It was like just play Le'Veon Bell and David Johnson everywhere every week. You know, it was that easy. All you had to do was play those two and you won, because every week they got like 10 targets. And there was always like a 5K guy, like Melvin Gordon was like a 5K guy that year. Not sure if you missed it. What do I think about Trevor Lawrence? He's fine. I think he was in top stacks, wasn't he? I think he's in the top stacks video. Yeah, I like that stack this week. I'm gonna go down in flames, I guess, because I like the Jaguars. And liking the Jaguars offense has never really worked well. But I've been in on the Jaguars offense all through the summer. I think Trevor has looked very, very good. And I'm totally willing to throw out the game against Philadelphia. I am completely willing to throw out the game against Philadelphia, which game log watchers hate when I say stuff like that. But like, Philadelphia is the Russian judge. They always score low against everybody. You know, 10, 9.5, 10, 9.5, Russian judge, 7.5. We're throwing that score out. That doesn't count. So like Trevor Lawrence, 57 against Washington, fine, bad, but like 83 completion percentage against Indy, 71.8 against the Chargers. And then they played in a monsoon with 25-mile-an-hour winds, and Philly's defense was slaying Bradbury on the outside and that ridiculous defensive line. Like, Philadelphia is going to shut down a lot of teams this year. Like Philly and San Fran, throw out the box scores against those teams. They don't matter when you're trying to judge a player. You have to throw out stuff like that. Those are outlier defenses. I think that Trevor Lawrence has a great bounce back game, because guess what, guys? The Houston Texans defense is not as good as Philadelphia defense. And that's what we call analysis. Multiple touchdowns, all but 1 week. Yes. And the thing that has not been unlocked with him just yet, that I think is going to get unlocked, they've been running some read option with him. They've been running a little bit of read option where there's some designed runs where they're letting Trevor Lawrence, something he ran a lot in his final year at Clemson. He is a mobile quarterback. He is a drop back passer. He can pass from the pocket, but he is as much of a mobile quarterback as Herbert and as Burrow, where they can scoot a little bit. And there's going to be a game where he runs for 35 yards and a touchdown on the ground. Lawrence is pocket plus? No, he's beyond pocket plus. He's mobile. It goes statues, pocket plus, mobile, running. He is a mobile quarterback. He can move. And they are actually starting, when you watch the tape, to like move the pocket with him a little bit, right? They are starting to put in some read option and design runs and bootlegs with him. So like, I think those games are coming. And I don't think that we are going to see like 8, 9 rush games from him. That's not, no. But like, I think we're going to see some 4 or 5 rush games, 4 or 5 rush attempt games from him where he runs like for 20 to 30 yards, possibly as we get down the stretch in the second half. I don't think he's going to stay. I could be wrong about this. Fully admit that I could be wrong about this, but that's what I see when I watch them play, is that they're putting some stuff in that's going to let him run the football. But they know that, you know, their bread is buttered by him being healthy. He's actually fast. Yes. Find a highlight video on YouTube where you look at Trevor Lawrence Clemson final year highlights from the last season he spent there 2 years ago. It was all running. They didn't have any wide receivers. It was all him running the football. And like, you watch him run, you're like, oh man, he really can scoot. Like, good instincts, knows when to get down, knows when to get out of bounds. Like, he can run. They just aren't utilizing it. But you can see that they're starting to implement some things so that they can deploy him in that way to add another wrinkle to that offense. But like, they haven't really had to most weeks, because they throttled Indy 24-0. They throttled the Chargers 38-10. And it was just a dumb situation against Philly. I could see them starting to run him 4, 5, 6 times a game. just to kind of rip off yards and keep defenses on their heel. You're mad because you have to redo your list of stacks. Don't change stuff because of me. I'm just telling you what I think. I'm telling you what I see. It's totally okay to disagree with what I say. You don't have to play the players that I'm going to play. Play the players that you want. If something makes sense to you that I say, then sure, implement it into your game for that week or overall, but like, you don't have to. Need to wait until all injury reports are out before building set. Yeah, it is a weird week in terms of injuries. There's been a lot of players that are in and out. Noodle Labs optimizer this week. What is top best practice? Exclamation point win in the chat on the YouTube channel. There is a how to win on DraftKings playlist. I did an entire video a week before the season this year where I talked about everything that I do with the Fantasy Labs lineup builder, how to build lineups, how I go about getting the stacks I want, how to manicure them, how to go from one to the next, how to set rules, starting points, and then building beyond that. So there is a video on the channel if you've never used the Fantasy Labs lineup builder before, for you to use, and you should go check it out. I agree. Pitts week is here. Shucks. So close. We were almost there. We were almost there. It was so close. Chat, if you have not checked it out yet, definitely go over to Underdog Fantasy and check out all the great products that they have over there. It's your home for best ball if you were drafting season long, but then they carry it into the regular season with these battle royale drafts. $5, $250,000 prize pool. It's one of my favorite things to do. It's a 6-team, 6-man draft. It's like the top 36 players on the week. You draft a 6-man team and you play. It's a GPP. It's just not salary based. Give it a try. It's $5. And when you head over there, use promo code ALSMIZZLE, ALSMIZZLE, and you get up to $100 deposit bonus on your first deposit to the site. Why don't we fill out a pick'em card? Because y'all like the pick'em cards. I'm not doing a baseball one. That's just not happening. Let's go over here. Let's take a look at who we have for this week. I'm not going to build one for London. No, you can't make me. I'm not going to do it. Who should we build one around? Pick a game, chat. Over gang? Definitely the over gang. LA Chargers and Cleveland. Let's pick a fun game. Where's a fun game? What's a good game on the list this week? The Dolphins game? I think we built one for that other game there. Here's the game I want. This is the fun game. Okay, here's the fun game. I want New Orleans and Seattle. Let's go with over 5 receptions for Tyler Lockett. Disley. We're going to go higher than Alvin KAMARA, 26.5 receiving yards. I'm going to go higher on Chris Olave. Lowers are sharper, right? If you're a lower dog player, then that's sharper. A lot of more routes to get to those. I don't play those because I like to root for fun football. I'll put $50 on that. We will click submit. That is my ticket for this week. I'm going to play those 3. Get your deposit bonus right now. Promo code ALSMIZZLE, ALSMIZZLE. Jacksonville, Houston, also a fun game. So you just have to play players from 2 different teams, right? So you can't just play players from one team. You can't play 2 from one, but you can correlate. You could play one from a quarterback that correlates with, like, if you think that there is a quarterback that's going to throw for like over 300 yards, right? Like, it's very easy to play one. Like, I'm not trying to fill out 2 and make this the whole show, but like, if you think that Tom Brady's going to throw for 300 yards, like, and you think that they're going to keep pace, Drake London over that, over 285, Lenny over 100 that, and then maybe him over 58, right? Like, there's a 4-man that you could eat, and it correlates. You've got your double stack and a bring back, and it correlates with all the rules that we're looking for there. If that game kind of goes nuts, it's very easy for that to go over the total. Bonus over gang. Bang. I just submitted that. I'm not going to leave that out there and not play it. People are like, did you play the thing? All 4 of them hit. I have to play the thing, so I played the thing. It's not going to hit. Don't play my stuff. Fade all of my picks always. Lattimore and Metcalf, you don't really pay attention to Lattimore unless it's getting 7th. So, like, that's kind of how I react. I've always said this, right? And Mike Clay does a great article. He spends a lot of time. Let's see. Mike Clay matchup. Not week 2. Week 5 shadow report. Mike Clay does a great article over on ESPN Plus. If you don't have ESPN Plus, I'm sorry, because you're missing out on She-Hulk, because, like, it's a package with Disney Plus. So, like, everybody's got it. So, like, you've got this. Every week he goes over wide receivers that are in good matchups and bad matchups. The best part of this, where is it? There's like a chart. Is it at the bottom? I want to see the chart. We've talked about this in Discord. I can't find it. There's always a chart with every single player on, and where here it is, cheat sheet. So there's this whole chart that you can see. I can't make this larger. There, bang. bang, bang. So you can see the matchup. Do they play in the slot? Left wide receiver, right wide receiver? Who is expected to guard them? All these sorts of things. But my point with wide receiver matchups, like there's information out there for you to get whenever you want to get the information, right? We live in the information age. It's an impressive Excel spreadsheet, 100%. Mike Clay has a Kyle. Here's the secret, K-Dub. Mike Clay is Kyle. He is a Kyle. Mike Clay was the researcher, spreadsheets on spreadsheets, and like director of analysis at PFF before he left PFF to go to ESPN. Like that's just what he does for fun. It's why he gets absolutely none of my references, because he lives his life in a spreadsheet, and then we get to reap the benefits of the work that he puts in for fun, you know? So I think, and I know that Mike Clay was Kyle before Kyle was Kyle. Yes. Every projection set that you use factors in all of the matchups. Defense versus position matchups. It factors in weather. They factor in implied point totals. They factor in everything else. How do you get to my article on ESPN? I made a link out of it. One, it's in smizzle.tv/links. It's a very easy path for how you can get there. It exists there. You just click Best Buys. Or you can go straight there by going smizzle.tv/Best Buys. I've tried to make everything as easy as possible. Hey, how do I get into the listener league? Smizzle.tv/league. How do I find all your merch? Smizzle.tv/store. How do I get into Discord? Smizzle.tv/Discord. Just type the word. It's probably there, all lowercase, except for labs, because I made it an uppercase L and I screwed that one up. Finger guns. Exactly. Search Best Buys in the search bar as well. That doesn't work as well. Well, maybe on ESPN it works, but like on Google now, if you search Week 5 Best Buys, it sends you to like the ESPN India. I don't know why that's the thing that pops up in terms of SEO on Google at this point, but that's what pops up now. So use my link, smizzle.tv/Best Buys. On ESPN, you just type my last name and all my articles will come up. And the CSS DFS podcast with myself and Mike Clay and Daniel Dopp, it goes up every Thursday. ESPN India will have cheat sheets on cricket. I mean, yeah, it's a joke, but it's true. It's funny because it's true. Do we like Pickens this week against Buffalo's secondary? Who does he match up with? I have not looked into who matches up with who. I think that when we get to Sunday, we're not going to see a lot of people double stacking and bringing back this game for a couple of reasons. A, this is extremely expensive. B, Gabe Davis, full participant win. Who knows if his ankle is good enough for him to cut at this point? Not great. The guy I do think takes a major uptick is Isaiah McKenzie, because if Diggs is going to be doing the things that Diggs does, and Gabe Davis can't get in and out of a break at this point, and Crowder's out for the year at this point, Isaiah McKenzie now is going to see a big bump in terms of his expected target market share week in and week out. One, he's going to play more snaps. So it's easier to score points when you're on the field as opposed to when you're holding your helmet on the sideline. He's still in concussion. I'm assuming when he plays. He had a limited practice session on Thursday, remains in concussion protocol. All of this is assuming McKenzie plays, okay? If McKenzie is out, then yes, KHALIL Shakir is next in line to be the next man up and will play a bunch of snaps. Assuming McKenzie plays, he's the guy. And he's going to be running around getting a lot of snaps and a lot of targets in the highest pass over expectation team that exists in the league. They throw it like 70% of the time because you can't run the ball when you're like 5'6", you know, whatever the hell James Cook is. Like they're passing backs. And that's how the team is built. So it's got to go through the air. So like McKenzie, they've got all the problems with, Dawson Knox being out. Like if you want to go with Sweeney Tom, that's fine, I guess, in the absence of him. Who knows, right? All the tight ends are a dart throw on that team. But I don't think people are going to stack this game or double stack this game because if you look at the Vegas dashboard, let's refresh this. This is also the Vegas dashboard. This is a free page on Fantasy Labs. Absolutely free. Go there, go to NFL, come down here to Vegas, click this. It'll take you to this page. It's got the odds. It's got the over-unders, the implied team totals, the line movement here. You can see exactly what and when things moved, when they, are they tracking upward or downward? You can see that like the Giants and Green Bay, the total opened at 45.5 and it's come down 4.5 points. Typically totals that go up are better. Oh, look, this game, the total has gone up 5.5 points. Excellent, right? That's kind of what you want to see is totals moving up and not down. This game, total moving up, not down. So like if we go here, you can see all of the things that like this game looks like it's going to be a blowout, right? Steelers have 16 total, 30 total. 30 is a lot of points. So people end up saying, the public ends up usually falling on the side of, they're just going to be up really big. Buffalo's going to be up huge and they're just going to run the ball. Or Buffalo's going to be up big and they're going to pull their starters in the fourth quarter. One, that rarely happens. Okay? It does happen from time to time that teams are winning 50-12 and they pull their starters. But it's not college, right? This isn't Ohio State versus our mother of the ever-festering cold sore, A&M, where their starters get pulled. They play like 4 series and they get 2 kick returns for touchdowns and they're up 75-0 at halftime and the starters don't play the second half and it's nothing but the band and the walk-ons in the second half. They only have 54 players. They're not pulling their starters, okay? It's just not happening. So when they pull their starters, like we've seen it happen, like Lamar Jackson in his MVP year, they ran away from teams. They end up sitting the starters like in the fourth quarter. But the score, they've already scored 40-something points. How did those 40 points get scored? So if you reverse engineer how those 40 points got scored, all of those games that the starters have gotten pulled, quarterbacks typically have already thrown for like 3, 4, or 5 touchdowns, already have 300 yards. Receivers already have 100 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. So like the stacks have already worked. The bring back plays are what's at issue, and this is kind of how I got here. Because like I was asked if George Pickens is going to be great. Like George Pickens is great. He's a fantastic wide receiver prospect. If he did not have an injury in college, he would have had higher draft equity, and everybody would have been more on him than they were coming into this season. There's a change in quarterback going from Trubisky to Pickett. I am not ready to say that it is an upgrade. I think that it is an upgrade, but I also think that Kenny Pickett is not a great quarterback prospect. It doesn't mean that he can't put up fantasy numbers, though. I think he's going to be more decisive than Trubisky was and is. Trubisky just doesn't make decisions. Kenny Pickett's going to make decisions. Who knows if they're going to be good or bad, but like he's going to fling it. And when he throws it, last week when he became the starter, he threw it more to George Pickens than anybody else. I'm under the estimation that that is an overreaction. Let's pull back on that a little bit. I understand that I'm the person that says, you know, by the time you've waited and seen, the opportunity's already gone. I'm under the impression that that is just a 1-week sample and it's not something that I want to hang my hat on. Assuming that Deontay Johnson plays, I am currently assuming that he plays, I'm going to say he's not going to get 4 targets. This is going to normalize closer to something like this, especially in a game where they are going to throw the ball a ton. We need them to be able to move the sticks, though. We also need them to not give up late in this game. I think Deontay Johnson has the best floor out of all of the pass catchers on Pittsburgh. I also think that Najee Harris is going to catch more than 0 balls this week. Rookie quarterback, you do want to stick to some more comfortable throws. You want to stick to closer, lower ADOT throws. That means Deontay Johnson. That means Najee Harris a little bit more. And because of Kenny Pickett's style, he's going to challenge downfield. So guys like Claypool and Pickens can eat if they can get loose against that Buffalo secondary. Are we overlooking into the Chargers-Browns games? I wouldn't say I'm over it. Cold sore University A&M. I mean, it's just, they always play these terrible, you know, they play like the Braille Institute and win 90-10. How did the Braille Institute score 10? But they do, right? They just wander in against the walk-ons late in the second half. In Battle Royale, do I prioritize quarterback if possible or just try to get the stack? So this is going to be, I have not done any Battle Royale so far this week. We can kind of go over a Battle Royale strat if you guys want to spend like a couple of minutes. I'm fine with Chargers stacks, by the way. I'm also fine with the 3 main offensive weapons on the Browns. If you wanted to play 5 under 5 emeritus Nick Chubb, who's going to be under 5 again this week and not going to be included in the video because I can't include him in the video anymore because he's automatic, then fine. I think Cooper is a good spot and NJOKU's been fine. Stream a BR draft. No, it'll eat up too much time. But this is a different week. I have my technique down and everything for Battle Royale on Underdog Fantasy. I don't be tickling or nothing. Some of y'all know where that's from. Some of you don't. If you go over to establishtheRun.com, they have great content. We have a partnership with them. You can go to smizzle.tv/ETR. You can get 10% off of a membership there. They just started coming out with, and I don't know where they are in the menu up here. It's an article, but they have Underdog. Is it on here? Underdog table for fantasy pick'em. If you play pick'em, They also have now come out with, if you did best ball drafts, you know that they have great rankings for everything. So if you click more articles, every week now they're coming out with rankings, and I believe that Herzig is the one who's doing them. Great best ball drafter in his own right. They have all these great articles, and they have Underdog Fantasy Battle Royale ranks. So you can upload their ranks to Underdog if you wanted to play. Most weeks on Underdog, when it comes to drafting my teams for Battle Royale, I prioritize elite tight ends because they're the separators. Every team has to have a tight end. There's a massive difference between the 5th and 6th tight end drafted and Kelsey and Andrews. Kelsey and Andrews have been the easiest way into the money on Battle Royale. So like I will typically draft them even at like the 1 spot. I'll draft a tight end 1, 2, or 3. They aren't playing this week, which is why I said this is a weird week for Battle Royale. So like I'd probably prioritize the position players over the quarterbacks because I want to stack, right? So I want to stack at it. So I want to go through like at least a single stack, maybe a double stack and a bring back. It plays very much like Rainmakers because it's a 5-man lineup, but it's different from Rainmakers in the sense that you have to get your drafts. The drafts take like 10 minutes and they're a lot of fun. So this week I haven't looked at anything. If I have a chance to get Cooper Kupp, I'm just taking Cooper Kupp. Even though Underdog is half PPR, he's still like a 20-point a game guy. He's ridiculous. So I'm still going to prioritize through that. I'm also going to prioritize through, you know, getting the stack that I want, building that. I have, like I said, I haven't really looked at the slate from a Battle Royale perspective yet. I draft my Battle Royale teams Friday afternoon. I sit there while we're in Discord and I kind of draft those. But like I said, it plays a lot similar to like what Rainmakers plays like because it's a 5-man roster. Does Underdog implement a cage match? I don't know. I hope that they would. That would be neat. But like it would just be a draft because they don't have salaries. Like the point of the cage match is that you're drafting, but you also have to draft using the salaries and stay under a cap. That's the really the knife twist that makes Battle Royale, who's your daddy just said, it makes it a little more spicy than just drafting 1v1s. Who are the value wide receivers this week? At 4,100, I think that the 2 best value wide receivers are Zay Jones and Rondale Moore. Those are the 2 who stand out right now. Although, I said this before, Rondale Moore played like 65 of 76 snaps last week. So like just a boatload of snaps in his first game back. Assume everybody is healthy when I'm talking about this. I know that a lot of guys have Qs. Zay Jones, tons of targets in the games that he has played. Great matchup against Houston in this spot. Both are 4,100. However, there are injuries every single week that have opened up stuff. And right now, the best waiting room value play on the board is Khalil Shakir at 3,200. He is the if-then statement this week. If Isaiah McKenzie is out, Khalil Shakir then becomes the best value on the board. But right now, he's not. How are you supposed to draft a Rainmaker team? What do you mean? You mean like because I was saying it with Battle Royale? I mean in the sense that Rainmakers is a 5-man team. Am I playing McKenzie regardless of Gabe? I mean, we won't know Gabe. When I say we won't know Gabe, I mean we won't know if Gabe is gonna be able to cut until we see him do it in a game, you know? So until that happens, like... He's a legend. Keegan, thank you very much for the 18 months. You got that new badge in the chat. So like, here's my Rainmakers lineups that I have entered right now, and I have not optimized these. I was like, as you can see, I've got like Kyle Pitts in one and he's out. So like that needs to change. But like, this is what I meant. It's like a 5-man lineup. And as you can see, I do try to stack and bring back even in that. And that's kind of also how I draft in Underdog Battle Royales. Cause like when you do that, I'm playing these as tournaments. I want to have guys that give me the best chance at the top of the leaderboard and lineups that give me the best chance at the top of the leaderboard. And in order to do that, this stack, if Kirk Cousins has that 30-point DraftKings day, that's what you should be aiming for in tournaments all the time, is that 30-point DraftKings day, where if he has that, what does the rest of the tree look like? And it probably looks like if he has 4 touchdowns and 300 plus yards, Justin Jefferson has a massive day. So does Adam Thielen. So like you want to attach that, like my legendary Josh Allen, superstar, can't play him up. What does it look like if he has a big day? Well, Steph Diggs probably has a big day. I got Deontay Johnson in that lineup as well. And then I've got a secondary stack with Ramondre Stevenson and Amon-Ra St. Brown in that lineup also. If you wanted to talk more about Rainmakers with our community, make sure that you head over to smizzle.tv/HQ. Pick up yourself the Smiz Gang HQ coin key. It gives you access to the token locked part of our Discord, where you can talk with me and everybody else that's in that Discord about rainmakers, the market, the games, how we should be attacking optimal plays, as well as the community kind of looking out for one another anytime there is a market inefficiency that is something that we can take advantage of on game day on Sundays or anywhere else. So make sure that you get that token so that you can enter the discussion if Rainmakers is legal where you play. Rip to everybody in Connecticut, in Pennsylvania. It really sucks that Pennsylvania just lost access to that game. Is the Listen League close to fill? It's going to fill on Saturday. So if you're not in there, like, make sure you get in. It's definitely going to fill. Like, we'll probably have about 5,000 people by the time I wake up in the morning with 5,000 spots left. James Agnew, Zay Jones is out. Yeah, we saw that last week. James Agnew just slides in. The NFL is a next man up league, and you really have to, like, organize your mind that that's the way that things go. That if somebody is out, there will be somebody who slides into that spot. They're not going to move multiple pieces. Zay project, I know. Yes, Zay is projecting it. I know. I'm setting up a larger conversation around. So, like, when you get that next man, they're not going to move other people around, which is how we got to Greg Dortch in week 1 when absolutely nobody else was on Greg Dortch in week 1. They weren't going to move Andy Isabella, who had only played on the outside. Well, Andy Isabella's good, so we're going to move him inside. No, Dortch was the guy who played in the slot all preseason. So Dortch was the guy who was going to fill in when Rondale Moore was out, who projects to play in the slot. Dortch slides in there. Now Rondale Moore is back. Dortch went from playing 70, like 90% of the snaps. Like, he would have played 70 of the 76 snaps if Rondale Moore was out last week. He played 26, 27 snaps last week because the guy in front of him was back. That is how most NFL teams operate at this point. So in terms of Zay Jones, the next man up in that situation is Agnew. And now we know that. Just like the next man up for Amon-Ra St. Brown is apparently Arnold. It is what it is. But thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. Make sure that you drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. And make sure you get in that listener league because it is going to fill. Look out for another video right there.
He's a legend.